The Lotus Sutra is one of the most important sutras in Mahayana Buddhism and was likely written down between 100 BC and 200 AD. Already well known in India, the sutra became more famous and influential when it was translated into Chinese in the year 406. After Chih-i founded the Tendai school in China, based on the teachings expounded by this sutra in the 6th century, it was considered one of the canonical sutras of Chinese Buddhism. After the Tendai school of China was introduced to Japan by Saicho and became the Tendai Sect, the Lotus Sutra became loved as literature among the people. The sutra is named the Lotus Sutra because the lotus symbolized the oneness of cause and effect, specifically the cause of aspiring to enlightenment or Buddhahood and the effect of attaining it. Since the lotus is a flower that blooms and seeds at the same time, it also symbolizes the purity of Buddhahood blooming in the midst of our ordinary lives, just as the lotus blossom in muddy pond water. The wonderful dharma of the Lotus Sutra is that all living beings, whether they realize it or not, have the capacity to become enlightened. Everyone, without exception, can unlock the perfect wisdom and great compassion that reside in the depths of life. The Lotus Sutra also teaches that the life of a Buddha transcends our ordinary ways of thinking and is beyond birth and death. In early passages, the Buddha tells the assembly that his earlier teachings were provisional. People were not ready for his highest teachings, he said, and they have to be brought to enlightenment by expedient means. But the lotus represents the final, highest teaching and supersedes all other teachings. In particular, the Buddha addressed the doctrine of Triyana, or 3 vehicles to nirvana. Very simply, the Triyana described people who realize enlightenment by hearing the Buddha's sermons, people who realize enlightenment for themselves throughout their own effort, and the path of the Bodhisattva. But the Lotus Sutra says that the 3 vehicles are really one vehicle, the Buddha vehicle, through which all beings may become Buddhas. A theme expressed throughout the sutra is that all beings can and will attain Buddhahood and attain nirvana with right mind and right effort. The Buddha is presented in the Lotus Sutra as the Dharmakaya, the unity of all things and beings, unmanifested or beyond existence or non-existence, and unbound by time and space. Because the Dharmakaya is all beings have the potential to awaken to their true nature and attain Buddhahood. Buddhahood may not be attained through the intellect alone. Indeed, the Mahayana view is that absolute teachings cannot be expressed in words or understood by ordinary cognition. The Lotus Sutra stresses the importance of faith and devotion as a means to the realization of enlightenment. Among other significant points, the stress on faith and devotion makes Buddhahood more accessible to lay people who do not spend their lives in ascetic or monastic practices. The Lotus Sutra is regarded as the single most important text of Mahayana Buddhism. It crystallizes the entire system of Indian Buddhist philosophy as created by Shakyamuni. The unique teaching of the Lotus Sutra and its ultimate goal, or indeed the goals of Buddhism as a whole, is to enlighten all people, to relieve them of their suffering and enable them to experience genuine happiness, thereby establishing a society that values peace and the dignity of life for all. To preserve this important teaching and ensure its transmission far into the future, Shakyamuni instructed his followers to accept, uphold, read, recite, explain, preach, and transcribe this sutra. Today I will end this talk with the opening of the Lotus Sutra. This sutra can save all living beings. This sutra can cause all living beings to free themselves from suffering and anguish. This sutra can bring great benefits to all living beings and fulfill their desires, as a clear, cool pond can satisfy all those who are thirsty. Such is the Lotus Sutra. It can cause living beings to cast off all distress, all sickness, and all pain. If you enjoy these short talks and these lessons in the history of Buddhism and the practice of Buddhism as a whole, please like and subscribe this video. I appreciate your attention. Your subscriptions help me move forward and continue with the Daily Buddha. And as always, peace and love, Jim.